Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. If you're anything like me and you've always wanted to make a sourdough loaf, but you've never quite got your hands on the perfect recipe, well, you're in the right place. This video is going to be a step-by-step guide on how to put together a sourdough culture ready to make sourdough bread. Here's a minute of fun before we get started. This is day one. Today I'm going to show you how to start the cultures off. We're going to make 2 different batches just to see how each one comes out. I'll take one of my bowls and what I'm going to do is add 50 grams of water. And then into the same bowl I'm going to add 50 grams of white flour. I'm going to mix this around. I read a lot of recipes on how to make your own sourdough cultures. I actually decided to simplify it just to see what happened. I've never tried this recipe before. Once you're happy that dough is mixed together, place into a glass jar, and that will be his home for the next week or so. We'll return the lid just loosely and we'll bring forward the second glass bowl. I'd just like you to add the 50 grams of water and the 50 grams of wholemeal flour. And once you're satisfied that that one's stirred, we're going to bring forward the second jar and we'll give him his little home for the next week or so. The last thing we'll do is cover those in a tea towel, and I'll make sure to leave those in a warm place for probably the next 24 hours. I'll keep an eye on them and see if there's any activity within the bowl. Hey guys, so it's been about 20 hours, I think. I don't have a watch. Just waiting for this sourdough culture to do something. I'm just kidding. I can't read. Day 2 for real, guys. So I've already taken a look at the sourdough cultures that I made yesterday. Wasn't very impressed with the results, but let me show you. The big reveal. Now, I wasn't really expecting much today. I did go ahead and label these. Not that it's not obvious. So you got the white flour and the wholemeal. I did see a couple of bubbles, not many. There you go, a few more on the white. With these 2 mixtures, I did leave them at room temperature on the kitchen counter, so I think today I'm gonna place them on the windowsill in the heat. It's a really sunny day today, and hopefully that will speed up that process. And hopefully on day 3, we can give them a feed. Day 3, guys. Now today is a little bit exciting. There's much more activity inside of the jars. There's some condensation, must be from the gas build-up. A couple of things that I did differently from the previous day. So I actually closed the lids quite tightly. I don't know why, but I thought that it might be able to have more of a reaction if it was closed up, so I tried that. You can see on the top there's this gooey layer to it. There's definitely some bubbles building up. So this is the wholemeal one, and it also has risen slightly. And this is the white one. Now this has actually had more of a reaction in the bubble build up. Not on the bottom, but you can see the bubbles building up on the sides. Fantastic. I'll open these up. Oh, did you hear the pop? Listen for the pop. Oh. And that smell is pungent. Today I'm only going to feed these. Probably tomorrow I'm going to have to start removing half of this and then replacing it with new feeding. This wholemeal one is sticky. I didn't expect it to smell like that. Now this one here, can you see that? All that stickiness. I guess that's all the gluten. You see all that air inside there? Oh, look at that. Cool. I'm pretty satisfied with that. So into the white, I'll place that on a scale, balance that lid, lovely. I'll zero that off. I'm going to place 50 grams of white flour. Oh, 50. Oh, it just dropped to 49. I would have showed you the 50, but it dropped. Okay, 50 grams. I've got the wholemeal flour here. I'll place the wholemeal onto the scales, zero it out, and I'll just add in 50 grams. Spill the flour everywhere, of course. Spill the flour again. You have to get it in the jar, Daniel son. 43, 48, 48, 49, 50. Wonderful. I've got 50 grams of water here, so I'll place that into the white starter. And just need another 50 grams of water, and I'll place that into the wholemeal starter. So I'm just going to mix that around. I'm going to give this a really good mix because my starter, my original starter has gone really sticky. So I just want to make sure that everything is well stirred. Okay, we'll move over to the whole wheat. So it starts off looking pretty horrible, but then once you give it a really good stir. Now this wholemeal one is a lot drier. Seems to absorb the water more. So I don't know if that's a sign that I need to add more water. I guess we can just figure that out together over the next few days. So I'm going to close these starters over, and I'll cover them over, and I'll just leave these in the windowsill. It's still really sunny outside, so. And check back on day 4. Exciting. Hey guys, welcome to day 4. This is my windowsill. It's really sunny again today. And I've already taken a peek at these. They look amazing. They've risen up, especially this white one. There's a lot of activity going on in here. Oh, that was a big noise. Big explosion. Just show you inside. This is the wholemeal. You can see all those bubbles. Oh yeah, so that's starting to react now really well. And that same one. All the gloopiness. So I think what I'm going to do now, I'm satisfied that these are being fed and kind of activating at a good rate. So I'm going to take half of the mixture out and replace that with some water and some flour. I'll probably stick with the 50 grams of each of those for now and then see how we get on. I'll see you on day 5. I decided to transfer them to these old pickle jars. I wasn't really satisfied with the space that I had in those other jars, so I've changed them to this. We've got a really interesting layer of clear liquid there. This liquid's on the top. There's definitely been some reaction going on in here. I think what I need to do is just give these a good feed. I may actually feed these twice today. Okay, so this one's quite runny, the white. Runny and sticky. Definitely much different from yesterday. Oh, it smells sour. Consistency of that one is not really sticky at all. I've emptied the jars and I've just rinsed them out just so I can see a little bit of the activity on the side. And what I actually forgot to do yesterday was weigh the jars, so just going to write the weight of each of those on the side. I want to just leave about 100 grams of this starter. So I'll be able to do that without taking it out of the jar. I'll just place 100 grams back in. I'll do the same with the wholemeal. I'll just add today's disposed stuff in there. Not really sure what I'm gonna do with this yet, but I just feel like it's too good to throw away. Put that back in the fridge, and I'll just add in 50 grams of flour and then 50 grams of water. I'll give that a stir. Place these back on the windowsill, and I'll check back in maybe 6 hours. So this is about 4 or 5 hours later, and it's got this thin liquid on top again. I think this is the alcohol that is being created. So I think these are pretty hungry. So I'm gonna feed these again. Okay, so I've fed the white one. I've noticed that the wholemeal, it only has a tiny bit of this on top. So I didn't bother feeding it. It still looked okay. But this one had such a large amount of the liquid. I feel like it's weighting it down. So I've removed everything but 100 grams, refed it with 50 grams of flour, 50 grams of water, and left them. And this is the new position for them in the kitchen. Got this light under here. So hopefully that's going to keep them warm. I might just leave them here instead of putting them on the windowsill, just so there's a regular temperature. I'll see you tomorrow on day 6. So you can see that not really much is going on. This liquid is back in the white one. I'm going to get rid of the liquid again in both and try and reduce this down to just 100 grams. I think I'm just going to try and feed these 2 times today and see if I can revive them a little bit. So this is 4 hours later and nothing has happened. The liquid's back, the clear liquid on the top. I'm gonna feed this another 50 grams of water, 50 grams of flour, each one. I just don't think maintaining the 50 and 50 method that I've been trying to do is good. This is being produced because it's running out of feed and it's hungry basically. I'll add in some more and then we'll check back tomorrow. So today, a bit interesting, I've taken a look at these. So yesterday I fed this wholemeal one a bit more because it was still creating a lot of alcohol on the top and there wasn't really much activity. I'm assuming that's something to do with the type of flour it is. I added 140 grams of flour and 140 grams of water, so that was why it was higher. It's raised up maybe a centimetre, but not really anything at all. So I think I'm just gonna keep at the higher mixture, keep feeding this. This one here has some nice reactions. So I've got some daily reactions going on with this one. I haven't opened this one yet. The lids aren't on that tight, but you can see the inside of that's quite nice and gooey. There isn't anything building up on the top of this one, which is great. I've definitely still got a few days left on the white one as well. So what I've got in this bowl here is 140 grams of wholemeal flour and 140 grams of water. I've zeroed out my scales. Normally I'd pour that clear liquid off, but there wasn't really much on there, so I've left it this time. So I'll measure out 100. And I've got the white as well. I'll do the same here. Now this is lovely. So much air inside. Already looks like dough actually, like a sticky dough. So I'll give it a good mix. You can see the difference. I'll save 100 grams. I've zeroed out my scales. Now the smell of this one is delicious. Give these a really good stir. I'm gonna empty all of the leftover starter into my bowl in the fridge. I'm saving it all, remember. This one pretty much looks like porridge. I'm a bit worried that this is not really doing what I want to do, but just hopefully if I maintain the higher feeding level, this is going to be happier. We'll see. I can already see some bubbles building up. I don't know if you can see those. Already this is reacting, so that's really great news. And just for reference, so I've placed these into the jars. The wholemeal is obviously a lot higher. I've put these bands on there as well, just so I know the levels. Pop these lids on, place them in my warm spot in the kitchen. Fingers crossed. Oh yeah, today's a good day. You can see from where I've put the elastic bands, this white one level is here. Since our last shot, this one's, you can see because I cleaned the glass, you can see it's moved all the way up to here, so it's more than doubled. And then progressively through the night, it's worked its way down. So I'm assuming that this is the peak. So kind of this area of the label is where I'm looking for, I guess, to bake the bread, which is fun. This one was really slow. Actually, can you see all the bubbles? So many bubbles. This only started to grow. It didn't grow last night. Really only this morning it started to grow. So look where it is. So I don't know if that's at its peak yet, but what I'm gonna do is just keep this one going same time. I'm gonna feed them. I guess the 150 seemed to work for this. So I'm just gonna stick with it, and I'll stick with the 100 for this. Okay, so I've had the feed. I've actually taken more wholemeal out, so I've only left 50 grams of that in there, just to make sure that the majority of it is feed. And then I've done the same with the flour. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it was a little bit long, but there was a lot of information, and obviously I was doing this for 10 days. So I did try and cut a lot of the boring stuff out, but there was so much useful information. And actually you saw me make a lot of mistakes, which I think is really helpful. So hopefully with the information that I've given you guys, you can create your starter and have it going within 6 or 7 days. That's fantastic. I know people that do it within that time. So I'm assuming that you can stick around for another minute or so, seeing as you've been here for 19 minutes or however long already. So let me give you a few tips and just a few things to look out for, really, just to boost your chances when you're making the starter. So number one, make sure that you regulate the temperature of your starter. It doesn't matter whether you leave it on the windowsill or under the light, like me in the kitchen or somewhere. Just leave it somewhere that has a regular temperature. Now, my problem with the windowsill was in the night time it got a little bit too dark and cold, and that didn't really work out for me, seeing as it's so hot during the day. So underneath the light in the kitchen meant that it regulated the temperature slightly. There wasn't too much of a through draft, and that seemed to give me more results, which is great. Secondly, don't start with 50 grams of flour. Just start with 100 grams of each, and actually you'll find you're probably not going to do a wholemeal starter at home. There's no point. If you want to make wholemeal bread, just create yourself a starter with the white flour, and then make wholemeal bread, just add white starter. That's as easy as that, really. There's no reason for you to have 2 starters going like me. I'm mad. I kind of was very curious about the both of them, and actually I've learned a lot, and I was able to hand that over to you guys. You know, the whole grain flour, I'm assuming that it takes longer to break down and to react as a starter because it's wholemeal. So, you know, when you eat wholemeal bread, your body takes longer to digest it. Plain flour is processed, so it's already started breaking down through that process of being processed, if you know what I mean. So the whole grain takes longer. We've learned a lot about it, but don't bother making that at home, like I said. A couple of interesting things that I found. Lids or no lids, I actually think that it doesn't matter a difference, so whether I put a lid on or not. The only thing you want to do is place something on top to avoid bugs or anything like that going inside. And definitely don't do your lids up too tight, because you heard a few pops and everything going on when I was making my starters. So definitely don't want to do that, especially in day 5 or 6. You're going to have some big glass explode. You don't want the glass in your starter. That would be terrible. Another interesting thing I found was transferring my starters to the pickle jars that had even sides all the way up. Just allowed you firstly to see what was going on more easily and see the actual growth. Secondly, it was easy to clean, get your hand in and that sort of thing. And thirdly, I just feel like the starter was more encouraged to grow up, as it was a little bit skinnier than the round jars that I was using, and I just felt more comfortable using those. The lids were annoying me with those flip jars, and so I recommend not using those. Find an old pickle jar. Even if you don't have a jar and you can't find one, just get yourself a glass that's maybe the same shape, same size, and just place a coaster on the top overnight when you have your reactions going on, and that should be fine. One last thing, I'm going to talk to you about that clear liquid that drove me crazy. And I know that if I had hair, you would have been seen in me pull out the hair constantly throughout this video. I found out that this clear liquid is called hooch. It's an alcohol that's given off when your starter becomes hungry. So it starts to produce this alcohol because there's no feed, like I said a few times. I recommend that anytime you see this liquid, get rid of it. Even if you accidentally scoop off a little bit of the starter, don't worry about it. This is only going to be bad for your starter. It's going to weigh it down, as I found, not allow those bubbles out. It's going to give your starter the wrong smell. Just get rid of it. Don't let it grow to as much as I did. And as well, obviously I wasn't checking back to you guys throughout the video 2 or 3 times a day, but you'll find your starter will be in your kitchen and you'll be walking past it as you're making your lunch and doing what you're doing. So just keep an eye on it. And if at any point it looks like it needs a feed, just feed it, especially if it's got some alcohol on the top, some hooch. Get rid of it, give it another feed, and just remember to drop that level down all the way to 50 grams. Don't bother with the 100 grams. Drop it to 50, give that starter enough space to breathe, really work its magic, and you'll find you'll have a sourdough starter in no time. So I look forward to bringing you the bread recipe that I've made. The white sourdough loaf looks absolutely delicious. It tasted great, it had crunch on the outside. I cannot wait to show you that. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you think. If you do have any issues, if you're going to try this starter at home, again, comment down below. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to help. I came across all of the mistakes myself. I'm sure I could answer any of those queries or issues that you have. If you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. Share it with your friends. Share it with everybody that you know. And I look forward to bringing you more videos. So I'll see you on the next one.